Godwin manufacturing started back in 1966, April Fool's Day to be specific. I was rather young at the time, but started out in the backyard and just kind of grew from there. And over the years we moved to about our third location now, and have expanded and purchased other companies that were our competitors at the time. And hard work, perseverance has kind of got us where we're at now. We manufacture flatbed type dumps, farm type grain bodies, and rollback car carriers, as well as contractor type dump beds. Probably our biggest forte would be in the contractor type beds, and especially with municipal government agencies.
We order metal to the size that we need it so that we alleviate any drop that would go to a scrap. So they'll level it to whatever we ask them to do. That metal's brought in on tractor trailers. We've got large overhead cranes that can pick up a tractor trailer load's worth of steel at one time and set it down in place in the yard, all the way to structural steel. At that point, depending on what the demand is, we have several plasma machines that cut out the metal. Saves a lot of time. You don't have to punch holes and get your hands involved in it more than that one time of loading it on the plasma table. From there, it goes to the fabrication shop where it's bent, formed to whatever the desired specification is, and makes its way onto the bodybuilding line where it's constructed into the finished unit.
One of the things that we were committed to as well is we try to powder coat every part that we possibly can, because we know it's a better painted surface. And your typical average size powder coat system might be 2 feet wide and 4 feet high. And our system obviously is 8.5 feet wide and 7 feet high, and about 30 feet long. So it's a fairly large system, and we do take that system and run large and small parts through that because it does give us a better finished product as far as the paint. One of our competitors at the time had looked at powder coating, but they backed away from it because of the capital investment that it took 11 years ago to do it. And it was one of those kind of things that when we found that out and we started digging into it a little bit more, we were going to powder coat one way or another. They looked at it, they backed away, and we went at it full speed ahead and started that operation, and to this day they still haven't stepped up to the plate. We learned some things along the way because things had not been done on this scale from what we understood in the early days. And one of the dramatic improvements that we've had in recent years was back in 2008. We started testing through one of our paint suppliers a zinc epoxy primer.
You know, you got to have a good profile before you start. And we start off by washing it and using the Wheelabrator to clean it. And at that point in time, we've got a SP10 finish, a very good profile.
In the early days, prep was done by needle scalers, by grinders and sanders, and was a very labor-intensive job. And needless to say, there was stuff flying everywhere, and a lot of safety equipment involved, and things of that nature. And the Wheelabrator literally took a lot of that away.
And then we do the zinc primer, and then from there we gel the paint, get it to adhere to this profile. Then it goes into the black booth or a colored booth, and then it goes to another oven for final cure. And that's just awesome. And it all happens at one time. And the biggest surprise I had is how they extended the life of powder from what I had. Accelerated salt spray test, 800 to 1,000 hours. Now I'm at 4,000 hours and got certification to prove it.
I feel very comfortable standing behind what we advertise for our paint life. Matter of fact, when we started doing this, we would not tell people we were putting the zinc epoxy primer on it. And I can give you an example. There was a rollback that went up to the Maryland area, and we made a sales call just to touch base with them on how they like their equipment. And he made the comment, he said, you know what, I don't understand. We've scratched the surface of this rollback, but the paint is not coming up underneath it, and it's not even rusted. And generally, you know, after time, water gets up under it, starts popping off. And that's why we said, well, we did something you didn't realize. We're using this as a test. And they absolutely believed in it from that point forward. And that's the biggest testament you can have to anybody, is show them that it works. You know, I can say it works all day long, but show me.